You didn't click this to learn what ChatGPT is. You clicked because you stopped trusting the privacy page, and you're right. I paste client work into ChatGPT most weeks, hit delete when I'm done, and always figured that was the end of it. Then I read what actually happens to a deleted chat, and it wasn't what I assumed. But the thing that changed how I read all of this doesn't come from anything you typed. It doesn't need you to hit send at all. OpenAI's privacy policy states the trade-off plainly, once you read the actual clause. Prompts and uploaded files count as personal data, and the company may use content you provide us to improve our services, for example, to train the models that power ChatGPT. That's stated policy, not a leak, but the claim people actually repeat is different. Delete the chat and it's gone. In January 2026, Judge Sidney Stein ordered OpenAI to hand over 20 million de-identified ChatGPT logs to plaintiffs in the New York Times case, and the court rejected OpenAI's privacy defense outright. Therefore, the 30-day deletion window stopped applying. The Wang preservation order keeps consumer logs on file indefinitely for legal discovery, even after delete. Sam Altman said it plainly on the Theo Vaughn podcast. If you talk to a therapist or a lawyer or a doctor about problems, there's legal privilege. But that hasn't been figured out yet for ChatGPT conversations. If you're sued, OpenAI is legally required to produce those conversations today. So the claim was privacy. The test was a federal court order. The ABA's formal opinion 512 already calls consumer ChatGPT use far riskier than controlled adoption. And the North Carolina bar agrees boilerplate consent in an engagement letter isn't enough. So does switching from ChatGPT to Claude or Gemini actually fix anything? Only partly, and each one fails a different way. Anthropic retains your consumer chats for 5 years once training is switched on. Google's own Gemini Apps Privacy Hub states that human reviewers read, annotate, and process your Gemini Apps conversations. And the same page tells you directly not to enter confidential information. Default retention there runs 18 months, tied to your Google account, but the business tiers change the answer. Gemini for Workspace contractually excludes training on tenant data, and Claude's Enterprise tier comes with its own BAA. Therefore, the honest reading isn't that Claude and Gemini are unsafe. It's that on the free tiers, each one keeps a different piece of the exposure. Anthropic keeps your words for years once training is on, and Google's own reviewers can read them too. A contract changes that. A subscription alone doesn't. Local AI makes the boldest claim of all. Nothing leaves the device, so there's nothing to subpoena and nothing for a vendor to breach. Tools like Ollama, LM Studio, and GPT-4All run the model entirely on your Mac, when they're actually configured that way. Does that claim actually hold up? Mostly, yes. A vendor that never received your prompt cannot be ordered to produce it, and there's no equivalent of a federal preservation order for a model that never touched a network. But the real move is still to verify each tool's own telemetry policy yourself, not assume it, since hasn't been caught and verified aren't the same thing. For a 7B or 13B model on a 16GB plus M-series Mac, first token response comes back in under 500 milliseconds. Typical cloud first token time runs 1.5 to 4 seconds by comparison. But local wins the safety test and loses the capability test in the same breath. It's strong at summarizing, retrieval, and rewriting your own documents. It's weaker on frontier reasoning and native multimodal work, the things cloud models are built for. That doesn't mean go fully local. It means most professionals aren't giving up cloud capability entirely. And confidential work is a bad fit for a vendor with a subpoena history. What could 4 separate privacy pages never actually tell me? How to get a frontier model's capability without a court eventually being able to read what I sent it. Redacting client names by hand before every prompt doesn't scale. One user on our developers India admitted to doing exactly that from memory. Claude, ChatGPT. No, I redact any confidential data. Therefore, the fix has to happen automatically, on the device, before the prompt ever leaves. And none of the 3 cloud tools I just tested do that by default. What do you actually do with that gap? Elephas closes it by redacting automatically, on your Mac, before a prompt ever reaches a cloud model, ChatGPT 5.5, Claude Opus 4.8, whichever you use. Names, emails, and identifying details get stripped locally first. The cloud model only ever sees the sanitized version, and the redacted fields get reassembled on your machine once the answer comes back. Smart redaction runs on every plan, including free, not as a paid upgrade. Elephas also provides built-in local LLM models, so the genuinely sensitive work never has to leave the device at all, and it operates on a zero data retention policy with the cloud providers it routes to. Your content isn't stored on their servers, and it never trains a model. Elephas starts at $19 a month with a free trial. That's the decision rule this whole audit points to. Keep the model you like and put the redaction before the send, not after you remember to do it yourself. That thing isn't ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, or local AI, and it isn't even a chatbot. It's called EchoLeak, CVE 2025-32711, disclosed in June 2025. A zero-click prompt injection that silently exfiltrated SharePoint and Outlook data through Markdown image URLs inside Microsoft 365 Copilot. That's the part a claim-by-claim privacy check can't catch, because it isn't a policy failing at all. It's an assistant reading whatever it's pointed at, and it's not something the ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini privacy page warns you about. So if you searched for the most private AI, here's the actual answer. If the data can't leave your device, go local. If you need cloud capability, redact before the call, or pick a business tier whose training and retention terms you've actually verified, that's the rule, not the marketing. Read the full breakdown linked below and subscribe for the next one.